Hello, kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our Wednesday weather update for September the 13th. And a lot of high pressure is on its way towards New Zealand, but we've also got some big storms down in the Southern Ocean, and that means a little bit more in the way of wind, rain and snow for parts of New Zealand in the days ahead, while Australia's got plenty of windy weather coming in along the southern coastline. At the moment, the main feature on our map is this storm south of Western Australia, and it's affecting the southern half of Western Australia with wind and rain. And then the other main feature is this area of low pressure south of Tasmania, and that's the one that's about to come into New Zealand with a cold front on Friday and some snow into the mountains and ranges. And the other feature is probably up in the tropics, where you've got a cooler breeze thanks to this high pressure zone near Australia and the southerly coming out of New Zealand. So just a little bit cooler for some of you around New Caledonia and Vanuatu. So let's have a look at the rain for the next 2 days ahead. The North Island's fairly dry, a little bit wetter in the southwestern corner. Most of the rain, though, in the southwestern corner of the South Island, where it should be. Fiordland's one of the wettest places on earth. So if you've got rain falling there, that is where it should be. And Canterbury and eastern areas starting to dry out. Speaking of drying out, the top of the South Island as well, around Marlborough and the Nelson region. A big hello to Jet Northrop, who writes to us all the time. Hello, Jet. You ask all the time about the rain. Well, when it's a westerly or southwesterly, like we've got at the moment, places like Nelson and Marlborough, they are drier because of the mountains and ranges blocking that rain as it comes on in. And that's also part of the reason you'll see Wellington, Waited Upper, and the eastern side of the North Island also seeing those lower rainfall totals. The South Island is blocking that rain for you. Now, we've got a bit of snow on the way. That's mostly with this cold front coming in tomorrow, Friday, and around the mountains and ranges here up to 20 centimetres on the tops, not much else further down. So it's going to make the mountains look nice, but not too much of a stress for farmers. But it will be a bit colder. Wind chill will be a factor on Friday and Saturday as well. And in Australia, that rain coming out of the Southern Ocean, the storm down here affecting Perth, you've got around about 20 to 40 millimetres coming through. It is proving to be quite a wet spring over in the southern part of Western Australia. And that is basically the pattern that we're seeing over the next few days. More of these windy westerlies coming in from the western side of Australia, down here around Victoria, Tasmania, and then across over to New Zealand, especially the South Island and the lower part of the North Island, which is coincidentally in the Roaring 40s. The Roaring 40s start from about Wanganui southwards. So we are pretty much in that at the moment, and so spring is always a time of year where we get these windy westerlies anyway. A lot of high pressure over Sydney and New South Wales, Queensland. I know it's getting very dry there, and the concern, just like eastern parts of New Zealand, is just how dry it is going to stay. So as we're going to Friday, we've got this low pressure zone in the tropics. It's pretty much stuck between Port Vila and Noumea, and it's just going to bring in some rain in this zone here. A little bit of wind around New Caledonia. Otherwise, high pressure in charge of Australia. But yeah, New Zealand, there is that cold front coming in. So it starts on Thursday night. It roars up across the country. And so Friday lunchtime, moving around the North Island, bit of a wintry day around the country. It'll be much colder than it's been, or maybe not, much colder is probably a little bit extreme, but it's going to be a little colder. Some degree colder as that comes through. But the reason why I'm not saying it's brutally cold is because when you track the origins of the southerly, they're really a westerly. It's a westerly coming in and turning around. So yes, a bit colder, not as cold as it could be at this time of the year. But because we're seeing so much westerly wind coming through here, like on Saturday, that is really stopping any southerly that's Antarctic from coming up. It just gets hit sideways. So pretty strong winds. Gale force around Tasmania, especially around the eastern side. And then over here, you'll be seeing strong winds coming in. And again, gale force winds possible Dunedin southwards. And by Sunday, those strong winds surge all the way up to about Auckland. Worst of the winds are south of the halfway mark of the North Island. So Taranaki, Hawke's Bay southwards, that'll be the windiest. And because it's westerly, it'll be mild in the east. A little bit cooler in the west where it's cloudier and wetter, but eastern areas fairly dry and mild this coming weekend. And so next week, not a great deal of change. High pressure to the north of us, that low fairly weak now and broken apart. And then you've got the railway tracks, just lines of windy westerlies blowing over New Zealand, gale force at times, which means some areas will be severe gale as the winds come up and down the mountains and ranges. And so windy weather for Tasmania, windy weather for coastal parts of Victoria, and more windy weather over in Western Australia as well. So welcome to spring. That's all from me. We'll see you again tomorrow with our next update.